Let's get to our last caller here. This guy comes from the 810 area. And, sir, what was your name again?
Annihilator.
Oh, that's right. Annihilator. Okay. Annihilator is on the phone. And do you mind if I ask your age? Because I think it will come into play in this hand.
Of course not.
Okay, so how old are you?
73.
73 Annihilator. That is a boy, I'm so bad at spelling, I can't even spell it. That is a beast of a nickname for for a 73-year-old. So you got a hand for us here, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, so 2-5, 800 cap, right? Or 800 max buy-in. All right, and how deep are you guys?
I have 1070.
1070, okay.
I'm in the big blind. The small blind has the same, and the button covers.
Okay. So 1070 effective, okay.
So MP1 opens for 15.
Okay.
Button calls, small blind calls. I have the 2 red jacks in the big blind, and I make it 90.
Jack of diamonds, jack of hearts. So MP to 15, is that about the standard open, or is that kind of small, just out of curiosity?
I think it's small, but these guys, I've not played in this 2-5 game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've been starting to. I've been playing 1-2 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And their opening raises are all over the place.
Well, I have to say, I mean,
it could be 15.
Sure. And right off the bat, I mean, obviously, I love the 3-bet, right? I mean, it goes 15 call, and you go up to basically 6x, which I think is perfect, 4x plus, a couple of the calls. Like, I would do it exactly the same thing that you would do here. So right off the bat, this is good. I like it.
I've been listening to you.
Well, that's good. At least somebody is. So you make it 90, okay.
So MP1 folds.
Mm-hmm.
The two villains call.
So the button calls and the small blind calls?
Correct.
So it looks like it's probably somewhere around, I bet you it's probably somewhere around 300, maybe a little bit less than that. And these guys are these guys are double flatters. And what that means is that obviously they've called a raise initially, and now they've called the 3-bet, which really means they are not strong. They have collapsed ranges. And you get into these situations, and you can use this in small stakes though too, although I'm not really in the business of trying to get people off a top pair. But when you are in a situation where someone has double flatted and you are the 3-better and you get a board like Ace King X, it is really, really hard for them to go down to felt, right? Because they don't have aces, they don't have kings, and they don't have ace king. So what's interesting, the way that they're supposed to respond to that is actually call down a lot more with ace X, even sometimes for stacks, because they end up with having one of the best hands that they can have, but people will overfold in a given scenario. That's just something to note. But okay, so the pot's right around 300. Okay.
I'd like to correct one thing you said.
What's that?
When you said, well, they can't have ace king. Some of the players in this pool can, yes.
They'll flat ace king and double flat. I buy that Annihilator for sure. No, I think you're right about that. I'm just saying in general, like as you move up, theoretically, you can really attack boards like that. And then going down the line too, like ace queen is even good too. Same thing. A lot of people will 3-bet off ace king, ace queen, aces queens. But okay, so let's go to the flop.
Flop is 8 of spades, 4 of spades, 2 of diamonds.
8 of spades, 4 of spades, 2 of diamonds. You've got the jack of diamonds, jack of hearts. So it's a nice overpair for you. Okay.
Okay, small blind checked. Hero bets 80. Call.
So you take the smaller sizing here. Interesting. Hero bet 80. Call. It's interesting because a lot of times, even though it might be, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily, multi-way pots are always difficult to really analyze from a theoretical perspective because, it's hard to put into some of these solvers, even though Munker does multi-way, but then it's just it's really weird to ever get accurate ranges pre-flop because double flat's never really supposed to be a thing. But what I would say is that a lot of times if you use really small sizing in games like this, you will actually get a reflection of people overplaying hands as a raise. And they would look at you, Annihilator, and like, this guy, he's a 73-year-old guy. There's no way a 73-year-old guy is betting 80 into a $300 pot with an overpair. The 73-year-old guy wants to protect.
I only look 72.
Okay, 72. But you know what I'm saying. The guy wants to protect. Yeah. So, it's one of these things where sometimes you might get that reaction, but you wouldn't be able to. I don't think you can fold ever really to a raise. But okay, you go 80, call. The other thing to note here too is that you don't actually have to build the pot up that much either, because now when you go 80 and it goes call, the pot's 540, and you guys will have about 900 left. You can easily get the money in, but there probably are going to be turn cards that are going to change things. Personally, I would go larger. I think this is a little bit small. I don't want to dissuade anybody from betting small, but I would say that I would still probably go 125 to 150 because it just sounds like people are just going to piece off and call with anything, and you're allowed to bet low boards, and you've got such a huge sort of hand advantage here unless somebody hit a set. There's no two pair out here that's credible. So unless they flop the set here, you've got the best hand, and obviously you want to charge the draws. But okay, so you go 80 and it goes call. So now the pot's like 540. Okay.
The turn was the 4 of hearts.
That's a pretty good card for you, Mr. Annihilator.
Well, the small blind led out for 300.
Wow. Small blind leads for 300. So again, 8 of spades, 4 of spades, deuce of diamonds, turns of 4 of hearts. So it's not like anybody can have 4x of spades here because the 4 of spades is already there. So he leads here for 300. Like, this is, first of all, now I know sometimes people say that some of my sort of critique about hands at the lowest levels can be a little bit misguided about what certain things might mean. Like sometimes guys will lead out with top full house on the turn after showing no strength just because they have it. But I will go to death's door here and say that this is never a 4 or a full house the way that this is played. It's just so hard for this guy to have a 4 here, overcalling the flop, calling the 3-bet, and then leading out. And I don't think he's full. That's just going to check overcall. Because remember, if he was full, he would have had to slow play a set. And now he's going to lead here on the turn. I just think that you got this guy beat 99.9999% of the time from the small blind. Now, the other interesting thing here is that MP1, what does he have? And then I'd start doing some math here because your hand does need some protection here too, because he bets 300, you call, the pot's going to be 1140, and you're only going to have, after the 3-bet, it looks like 600 left. So if you just call,
correct,
you only have 600 left. And you wonder about the guy behind you. Like if the guy behind you has like overcards and spades, something like that, that has equity against you. I think that when you call here, if you just call, if the guy behind you is any type of player, he's going to be folding out all worse made hands, like 8x, pocket 9s. He should be. So I don't know if there's really any value in rope-a-doping here, the guy behind you, unless he's really, really bad, because just the mere call that you make here, it means that you're strong. So really what it comes down to is, with jacks, do I want to protect? Do I want to get the money in here from the small blind? What do I think the small blind's most likely holding here is? It could be a little bit of a stop and go with a draw, or it could be some other weaker made hand that is waiting for a safe card like tens, like 8, 9. So how do I maximize getting the most amount of money in from the small blind? Is it a call and then if he checks me, bet the river, or do I just jam right now? These are the things that are going through my head, Mr. Annihilator. And then I'm also thinking, do I ever need to do any stack preservation if the guy behind me wakes up? Like if this guy goes 300, I call, and the guy behind me jams and this other guy ships, like, is there any room for me to possibly lay the hand down at that point? I see that happening so infrequently that because you have jacks here, I kind of want to raise and possibly get it in here with the small blind. I don't know how often he's going to lead 300 and then fold when he only has like, 600 left. Because if you lead 3, you call, it's 11. The pot's going to be 1800. It's going to be 600 for him to call. Now, I can see flatting so that you don't blow him out of the water, but I do feel very, very strongly that you have the best hand here. So it's an interesting little scenario here. And Stephen H makes a good point. Given Annihilator's table image, Stephen H said, given the Annihilator's table image, the lead is scary as fuck. I would say that if you were to raise, your raise would be very scary. So that could be another reason to call. But again, the call in itself is still pretty scary too, because Mr. Annihilator, he's not going to have ace king here, calling the 300 on the turn, right? Anyways, what'd you do, Mr. Annihilator?
So.
Yeah.
I flatted.
So here a flat. Okay, and what did the guy behind you do?
Fold.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about this guy. So the guy in the button folds. Okay, so
correct.
Now the pot's 1140. It might be a little bit less than that, and I think that you guys have put in 380, 470. I think you have about 600 or so left. Okay, let's go to the river.
Yes, we each have 600.
Okay.
The river is deuce of diamonds.
It's an offsuit deuce, right? The river, not a spade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's fine.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So the board comes in double paired. So it's 8-4 deuce. This guy leads out on a 4 for 300, and now the river here is a deuce. Okay. I really do think that that's a very good card for you. And here's the thing. Before you tell me what you're going to do, okay, let's say that the guy checks to you on the river. What would you do?
I think I would check. I think I'm winning, but I don't think he can call a bet.
What did I think what did I think part of his turn leading range was here?
I think you said he might have like nines.
Some hand that he was going to protect with, like a nines, tens, ace 8, something like that. So if he checked, I would absolutely, with your hand, if I were you, I would go for value at the end. Probably a shove, maybe 400 or 500, something like that. And the reason why I think you can get away with that, Mr. Annihilator, even though you might be a guy that's 73 that might look 62, is because most people in your spot aren't going to bet over pairs because they're going to be scared of the trips. I realize you can take a showdown, but I would feel very, very comfortable betting here if checked to for the reasons that I stated about the why the guy is leading the turn. But what ended up happening, though? That did not happen is what I remember.
No.
Okay.
No, he shoved.
Okay, so small blind shoves for 600. I don't know, man. Like, again, from last hand, I don't... Now, is it an easy shove for 4x? Yes, it's definitely an easy shove for 4x. Did the Annihilator bet kind of small on the flop? Yes, he did. He bet 80. Should a 4 overcall the flop? Probably not, but it's a 2-5 game, right? So you get these wider ranges because of the small betting. But remember, the small blind called the flop. Excuse me. The small blind called the initial open and then called the 3-bet from the big blind Annihilator. I mean, does he have ace 4 off here? That's pretty far down. I don't know if he's got ace 4 off. And if he only has like ace 4 suited, even pre-flop, the way that this is played out, I know that we have to find a bluff here. But I'll tell you the hands that I don't believe he ever has played like this. I don't think he's got 8s full. And I don't think he's got deuces full. And I don't think he's got quad 4s. So if I can take out the full houses the way that this hand is played, which is a check overcall on the flop. Remember, so here's the thing. I said he might have some 4x because the Annihilator bet so small. But what he doesn't have because the Annihilator bet so small is some slow plays like deuces, 4s, and maybe even 8s that are played this way. He would have to check overcall a very small bet and then lead the turn when it fills. That makes no sense to me. Honestly, I discount all full houses besides 4x, which is a full house. I'm talking about all the sets, right? Now, obviously, there's only quad deuces, quad 4s, and now 8s full. So this is a 4 or nothing. It's 4x or nothing. He's betting 6 into like 1140, so you're getting like 3-1. I know that, depending on your image, but I would have a hard time folding here. I got to be honest with you.
I did fold.
Okay.
Because I've never played with either of these two villains before, but I've watched how they play, in this session. And I mean, these guys can have anything. So I wouldn't have been shocked if he had a 4.
Right. But if they can have anything, can't they have bluffs,
with your
though?
Analysis.
Can't they have bluffs, though, especially with your small bet size on the flop?
I was sure he had a bluff or a 4.
Some people are saying why. So 8-8 does not. Not sure why he can't have 8-8. So the reason why I don't think he has 8-8 is because it's not just the check overcall. It's the check overcall, and then guy leads for 300 when he's full on the turn. Of the 3 combos that are possible if 8's full, it would have to be a check overcall lead 300. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. So you did end up making the fold, and then did you find out what he had?
Yeah, he showed, of course.
And what did he show?
He had King 7 of spades.
Oh no, Mr. Annihilator.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
But if he played King 7 of spades,
yep.
To see the flop, he could easily have a 4.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, it really depends on what 4s you think, like ace 4 suited, 5-4, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, King 7 of spades.
Sure, but
to call the 15 out of the small blind is
questionable.
Pretty.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. What I would say is that if he's playing that wide, then that certainly means that he can have a lot of spade draws. And when you get into a situation like this, like I was, I think I had done. Oh, this reminds me of the Durr. I don't know if you watch our YouTube video, Mr. Annihilator, when I said I broke down why Durr called with 9 high only when he thought, he looked kind of dumb. I didn't think it was a great call, but I could get in line with his thinking. But what I'm going with here is that, yes, he can have a 4, but you've got to count the hands that are like he would play with a 4 in it. Maybe it's 5-4 suited, maybe it's ace 4. If they were only those hands that were suited, even like 6-4 suited, because there's 2 4s out there, that's only 6 specific hands. There's only 6 combos of each one of those hands. And you're getting 3-1 at the end. This is the thing where people get intimidated by math. I know I'm going to make it really, really sort of easy math. Like the guy's betting 6 into, I know, under 12, but you're getting 3-1. So what that means is that, you just only need to find one bluff for every 3 value. Like if he has like 6 4s, right, for value, you only need to find 2 bluffs here to make it a break-even call at 3-1. So if he's playing King 7 of spades, he's certainly got way more spade draws here too. It's not, am I calling here and am I good as a coin flip? No, but you only have to be good here 1 out of 4 times, right? A 3-1 ratio. That's the beauty of pot odds and the way that this thing one is built out. It's also interesting to note if you had jam turn, would he call? That is also interesting to note here too. But personally, I probably would have called. I think you sound like you totally get where I'm coming from, though, right?
Oh yes.
Cool. Awesome.
Yes.
Well,
would you have jam turn?
I think it's close. I mean, I can't speak for what your image is. I think it's a very extreme scenario because the fact that you have called the turn means that you have something. Obviously, I don't know if the guy's thinking at this level. If he's got King 7 of spades, it's way less likely when he holds the King of spades that you're on a spade draw, squeezing out of the blind. So because he bets so much on the turn, I'm not exactly sure what calling accomplishes because it's the same strength as raising all in, is my point. And then I was talking about the guy behind you having some equity. My only issue here is that am I going to get called by worse, or do I just want to shut it down too? Do I want to shut it down? Because here's the thing too. The other thing too, Annihilator, is that If this guy won't call your raise on the turn with king 7 of spades, but he won't bluff the river. Now, obviously that didn't happen because he did bluff the river, but let's just say he wanted to take a shot at it on the turn. He's like, I don't think this guy has anything. He only bet 80 and the other guy called, right? So he takes a shot, but then he's like, oh my God, this guy called, annihilator called, I'm done with it unless I improve. If that's the case where he's not going to bluff on the river because of his $300 lead and your call shows a lot of strength, then you're actually supposed to shove, right? Because you're giving him a reverse free card at his equity. He can hit a king and he can hit a spade. And if he's not going to bluff the river, you're not gaining anything. So you do want him to not see the river. That's another thing, right? So it's kind of an interesting spot because your call is so extreme to the turn bet. But I appreciate the call. It was a really interesting one. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, and check out the coupon code in the description to try out the Crush Live Poker training site for free.